Hey guys, today we're going to change out the winch rope on our Warn Zeon S winch. Gone with a winch rope from Sabre Off-Road. I've used quite a few of their products and they're definitely up to scratch. Hardest part of this job is changing out the winch rope at the anchor point. So we'll have a look at that. But first of all, let's get this rope off.
Alright, we'll skip that background noise. The neighbour decided to mow just when I was setting up for the job. So we'll disengage the clutch on the winch and pull all of that rope off. You'll be able to see on this winch rope there's a few areas where the strands have been pulled and chafed, and in particular some sun damage on the end of the thimble where it's been exposed to sunlight. Later in the video I'll show you how we're going to solve that problem on the new rope. The winch rope we're going with is the Spectra Extreme double braided winch rope. The little benefit of this one is it's got a 1mm outer braid jacket that protects the 9mm of inner rope cores. That means it's not going to get sun damage, less likely to be braided. Still gives an overall 10mm outside diameter. It's also rated at 17,600 pound, which is well over the 12,000 pound winch rating. In this case I've gone with a 30 metre length. You can get it in 45, but that won't fit on this particular Warn Zeon winch. Comes with a forged hook. It's actually a pretty good looking hook, but I'm going to stick with the factor 55 flat link. I'll transfer that across from my old winch rope. You can see the difference between the factor 55 flat link and the safety hook that came with the Sabre winch rope. Nothing really wrong with the hook, particularly good if you're using slings. I like how the Warn thimble has a reinforcing gusset. The Sabre thimble unfortunately doesn't have that, but still looks to be pretty robust.
Move this belly plate and work in underneath there. Some T30 torque screws and a few bolts there.
You can see here that the one advantage of the Warn winch is it uses quite a unique system to anchor the winch rope onto the drum. The winch rope actually has a loop, and a wedge key goes into that loop and then pulls into a tapered slot in the drum, which is much more effective than using grub screws or some of the other systems that you may see around.
See that the winch rope is held onto the drum with this key that wedges into that loop. Now the rope we're fitting doesn't have this loop, so we're going to have to improvise and create our own.
The next step is to lay out the new rope, make sure it's free of any twists and kinks, so that it's nice and straight and ready to wind onto the drum.
So we'll just push it through the drum, loop it back and still use the wedge, and get a nice tight anchor into the drum. Still much better than the aftermarket solution that bolts into the side of the drum. That's really a carryover from wire winch ropes.
Before putting your hands anywhere near the winch drum, don't forget to electrically isolate the winch, either removing a battery terminal or use the winch isolator if you have one. So I left the metal thimble on the winch rope to help get it through the slot in the drum, stopping the end of the rope from fraying. Now that it's through, I'm going to cut the thimble off, but firstly I'll put some glue-lined heat shrink on the rope, again to stop it fraying. Next step is to form that loop in the end of the rope around the wedge key and to pull the whole lot into the slot in the drum. Give it a nice tug to lock it in there, and that'll stop the winch rope from disengaging. Next job is to get the Factor 55 flat link ready to attach to the rope. We're also going to take the rubber pads off the link. We need to do this to put the aluminium rope guard on the link as well.
Good of them to give you a spare. So I like to use a little socket and just seat them in first.
It's important that the first few wraps on the drum are really tight, otherwise the wraps on top of those will bite in whenever you load up the winch. Eventually when I'm out on the track I'll find somewhere and do this tensioning job again, but for now I'm just going to do it in the driveway by attaching the winch rope around a sheave block to a tree in the side of the house. You'll see I'm using a bit more Sabre recovery gear here. I've got the 17,000 kilo utility rope, which is a great bit of gear, a soft shackle and a sheave cord. To create some tension on the rope as it wraps onto the drum, I'm just going to take the rope around a sheave block, do a double line pull back to the car and guide the rope on, pulling the car forward against the resistance of its own handbrake. Well, that's the winch rope replaced. Took about an hour altogether, including messing around with belly plates and getting the old winch rope off. jump onto the Locked 4x4 website and have a look at some of that Sabre recovery gear. It's all highly recommended. Till next time, maybe see you on the tracks.